Tom Konkle returns to Midnight's Edge in the morning. Sonic 2 announced. And we got a look at the Joker from the Justice League. Oh, yeah. Some idiot wants to remake Wizard of Oz as well. You heard me right. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. I'm Tom Connors. With us, as always, is the boss man, Andre.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this lovely day.
We also have the fifth Beatle along with us, the script doctor. How you doing?
I am doing awesome. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good. And joining us, our special guest, returning once again, Mr. Tom Konkle. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? And Script, it's an honor to share the show with you. Andre, Tom, I've missed talking to you guys. Thank you for having me back.
Always glad to have you back. And so we've got some interesting news to start off with this morning, and it looks like we've got a lot of people already chiming in the chat. So hello, everybody. Regulars like Mr. Tickle Trunk, who already sent us a super sticker this morning. Willie Woodward, I see there. And see, we got Keith Howard, Rex the Skunk. We got Cosmic Squirrel, all kinds of regulars filing in. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Andre, how's it going?
Yeah, it's doing good, doing really good, especially since Mr. Tickle Trunk not only sent us a super sticker, he also sent us a super chat, starting the day off saying, Happy Hump Day.
Yeah.
Is this an American tradition that I was previously unfamiliar with, or a Canadian one?
It's a middle of the week joke.
Been around for a long time.
It's any Wednesday you're hit the middle of the week, so it's going over the hump in the road.
All right, I see. So I see.
On the incline, Sunday to Wednesday,
and then a bunch of perverts like us, just appropriated it.
Yeah. And also in the chat, they are discussing on Tom's sleeping pattern. So the major betting action this morning is how much Tom slept last night. Odds favor three hours right now.
I think it was 4.5.
Oh, okay. Wow. White caps on the bay. I have bad news for you then. It was more than 0.
Nope, the odds of 0, that's me this time, actually.
Yeah, Script's the one who actually didn't get no sleep this time. Yeah, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, and then we also have Hurin the Steadfast, who says, keep on keeping on. Well, thank you. We all have to keep chugging away in these days. And also Darius Minchausen sent us a super sticker. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate the support. And Mexican Iron Man sent us a $10 super sticker. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. We really appreciate that. Sontar also says, I had to cancel my trip to Daytona for Speed Weeks, but at least home I can watch the races. Practice and qualifying on a 70-inch TV and this in between. Oh, have to make the
we're glad
best
you
out
joined
of the situation. Speaking of sports and stuff like that, what did you guys think about Super Bowl this year? Anything exciting in the commercials? Oh, and the sport thing they had as well?
Well, I mean, like him or hate him, Brady broke more records. He certainly showed that, the leadership of the quarterback does affect the rest of the team, even though it's a team effort. Who is working at the top and calling plays made a huge difference because, their defense was incredible, and he was throwing for so many completions, so many interesting patterns that it was just his time. The other team just never really found their rhythm. And then I did see some interesting commercials. I don't know if any were real standouts, but there was definitely some money being spent in new places. I noticed different kinds of people were advertising from the norm.
Such as?
You got a lot more of the service type. I think there was the food delivery type stuff. You could tell they were spending a lot of money. A lot of the traditional things that you would see advertised, like Coca-Cola, things like that, they weren't spending the kind of money. But you were seeing a lot of services that clearly have made money during the past year, starting to spend that money in commercials in new ways. So there's a lot of new companies represented I've seen before.
Oh, that's nice. Speaking of new, we also have Mr. Gina Carano joining us.
A very special guest this morning. Welcome, Jay.
Hello, everyone.
That's not what he expected to walk into, but no, he's here to help tell us a little bit about what's going on tonight. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah,
All right.
very good.
All right. Yeah, tonight on my channel, actually, it's we're going to be raising money to help end human trafficking through a charity drive starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll probably go several hours. I'm just gonna hang out and swap in a bunch of people here and there, and yeah, let's see. Let's all come together and do some good. We were able to do that for St. Jude. Human trafficking is it's something that's out there that doesn't get discussed as much, and to see it being removed from our society is a great thing. So, with all the toxic stuff that we guys do, especially Midnight's Edge, you guys are so toxic. At least you could help promote them.
I'm gonna. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to do my penance. No, so check out tonight. There'll be all kinds of special guests. Maybe even I'll pop in. Who knows? If you allow me to do so. No, you already talked to me about it. I was supposed to be popping in, I think, like an hour into the show. So, yeah. Is there anybody else who's going to be there that you want to tease right now, or?
Actually, I don't really know. I know it'll be because our normal Wednesday night live stream is me, Star Wars Theory, and Jeremy. So we'll start with us three and and probably get probably a lot of the Geeks and Gamers crew in early. There's going to be an hour where it's just women and me. It wouldn't be a drunk 3PO stream if that wasn't the case. So, and then yeah, who knows? Who knows who might pop in? Awesome. Who knows? Gary, Robot Head, Critical Drinker. Awesome. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right. So we'll be looking forward to that. And of course, you can hang around if you want to for a little bit or what have you. Because like I know we discussed you at least popping in for a little bit to promote the show tonight. Other than that, you're more than welcome to hang out.
Can I just say something, Tom? Your avatar scares me a little bit. I just wish you'd go back to a cartoon style like the rest of us. There you go.
That scares you? Photo
I thought it was really him looking at me and talking to me. I was like, oh, it's not. Okay.
Problem is this one comes with a voice.
Yeah. No, there's so much I have to get done. I really appreciate it, Andre and Tom. Let me use your platform to promote this. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. So, Script Doctor, always a pleasure. And Tom, first time meeting you.
Yeah, yes, Tom Konkle, Drunk 3PO. Tom.
Yeah,
Konkle.
I've enjoyed listening to you whenever you join the show.
Appreciate it. So I'll let you guys continue, but thank you for letting me pop on, Andre, and using your platform. So.
Tell everyone again exactly when is the stream and how many hours from now is that, since we have many different time zones represented here.
Well, the stream is already open on my channel, so if people wanted to go in early and donate, they can, but it'll officially start in 7 hours. I believe it's noon here, so yeah, about 7 hours it'll start.
You said 8 Eastern, right?
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern, so that would be 6 Central, and I believe you're talking like 10 o'clock Pacific time, I think.
There was an issue with people overseas wanting to donate but couldn't do it through the YouTube giving, and just to be clear, I worked it out with YouTube, and so they turned that stream into a giving stream, which means by going to the super chat icon or donating at the top, the money goes straight to the organization. I don't see a penny. YouTube doesn't see a penny. They don't take out their cut. So 100% goes. And there was some complaints that some international people that wanted to give couldn't give because YouTube hasn't unlocked certain countries for that. So we put the website in it's right in the top of the description. You can click on there and go straight to the website, and then throw it in the chat, when we're live, saying, hey, I had to go to the website. This is what I gave. I'd still love to shout you out. So, and add it to the total. So I don't want anyone to feel left out if they feel like they want to give. This organization their hands reach from America worldwide. So they do a lot of amazing work, not only rescuing children and adults, but rehabilitating them to get back into society after the trauma that they've gone through. So, and it's going to be awesome to see. This is something I've always wanted to do on YouTube. One of the reasons why I was on YouTube is to help, change the lives of people, and seeing everyone come together it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, and hopefully we do even more than we did the last stream I did with you. So
absolutely, man.
Come on in and do everything you can to help us. I know some people are tight right now. If you can't do that, the least you can do is share out the stream tonight. That helps, because you never know who can help. And that's what I was saying. I don't want anyone to feel guilty. They're like, oh my gosh, I love this, but I can't help. Listen, we know 2020 was hard for everybody. Right. And so many people some people are out of work. Just sharing the link and just being in the chat, supporting is awesome. Just seeing you guys there. I don't want anyone to feel guilty or shame or be like, oh, are people going to look? No one's going to do that ever. When it comes to this, because I get it. We've all been there. I've been there where I wanted to help, but you couldn't because, life. So don't feel like you can't show up and hang out in the chat if you can't contribute anything. We just want to promote like unity and come together and there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different opinions probably on the panel that people will agree with and not agree with, and that's okay. It's okay. And it's we need to come together, more often. I think Absolutely. The world, the division of the world is very evident right now. And so if we can see even in this Star Wars community, people come together, I think that would be great. So yeah, awesome. Well, I'll be there tonight, like I said, and hopefully we'll have some fun and we'll do much better than last time. Like I said, you're more than welcome to stick around. But it's
we've already raised $1,200.
There we go. See,
started yet, so that's incredible.
Awesome,
my goal was 5,000. Because I know what $5,000 can do to help change the lives of people forever. And
tell you what, Jay, we hit 20 grand tonight. I'll do the drag thing again. Actually, I'll crank it up to 25. So you know what? I'm going to crank it up to 25 just to be safe. That's 20,000 over your original goal, though. So you heard.
No, my original goal was 5,000. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, 25.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
25. If we hit 25 tonight, I will do the next. Actually, I'll even do it better. I'll do the morning show and drag. How's that sound for 25 grand? I think I can do that. I'm a high class hooker. I mean,
people might not give because they don't want to see that. I mean that. So
30 and he doesn't do it. There you go.
Yeah, if you get me to get up to 30, then I won't do it. No, I think everybody will want to see that because they had so much fun last time. But no, that was that was fun doing that for you, man.
Yeah, life is I will be people who not listen. I like to laugh and goof around and have fun, but this is such. It means the world to me to see people come together for this. It really touches my emotional string. So if we break 5,000, I'll probably be a mess. And then just because it just means a lot to me. It really does. I never thought in a million years that this that my stupid drunk 3PO name would be where I just never, you know what I mean? It was just created to hang out on a live stream with friends and talk about Star Wars. It wasn't, I never had any intention of any of it, like any of this geeks and like none of that. It was just basically, I was just in a live stream on Friday nights talking with 4 other people in front of 10 people.
Well, as they say, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans, dude.
Yeah, man, it's true.
John Lennon,
so who knows? So here we are. So,
but like I said, you're more than welcome to stick around. But tonight, the festivities kick off at 7 Eastern. You said right? 7 Eastern.
yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m. Eastern on Drunk 3PO's channel. So be there or be square.
And I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't have anything planned, like as far as topics goes. I think we're just gonna have a lot of laughs, and I'll show clips from the charity.
There's going to be Star Wars theory. There's going to be Jeremy. There's going to be musical performances by everybody from Dolly Parton to Fleetwood Mac. There's going to be.
But I will say this. Listen, everyone's asking me, is Gina Carano going to be there? And the answer is no, she's not. She's actually traveling. But she's so happy. She sent me a nice message this morning. I didn't even invite her, to be honest. Listen, she's Hollywood celebrity. She's got stuff to do, but she retweeted the link, and she didn't have to do that. She's done more than enough. This is the charity that she also supports, A Small World. Like, I had been supporting this charity before I even kind of knew her, and it's interesting. So,
well, we're gonna hit that 25K tonight. All right, so that's my goal.
Let's see. I just want 5. Anything after 5 to me is like extra icing and whipped cream on my pecan pie.
All right. Well, like I said, you're more than welcome to stick around.
Yeah, I'm going to head out. But thank you for letting me use your platform. It means a lot. Man. So y'all be easy. And I'll talk to y'all. I'll see y'all tonight. Take care,
Jay. I'll
see you then. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Take care, Jay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. Getting back into what you guys are talking about. Yeah. That I didn't know if he was going to come in the beginning or later, but he just came in the beginning. So, Duma Studios. Yeah, we talked about that last night on Mead. Blue Sky is no more. Disney just shut it down. They just wanted the IPs anyway. It's redundant. I guess. I mean, it's really not a surprise. It's sad for the people that are going to be out of work for now, but I'm sure a lot of them will find work in Hollywood. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think you're going to land again, skilled people that are able to do that. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx it for them, but hopefully they have new slots, new places they can take their talents. But, this is the whole thing. It's like a giant amoeba absorbing everything. There are, more companies and more things, but they're all owned by the same thing. And so there's really less choices to go.
It creeps.
Well, I'm not a betting person, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of those that lost their job over at Blue Sky will probably end up starting their own animation company.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That would be smart.
That would be the smartest thing to do. Yeah.
I think that the two. Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say just. No, go ahead and finish your thought. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I remember reading that the two head guys over at Blue Sky were even talking about making their own studio or something like that. So anyway, you were going to say, Tom.
I was just going to say before he popped in, the one thing I was going to highlight, you had asked me about commercials, is did you guys see the weird reuniting of Wayne's World for Uber?
Yeah, it was a little out there. We talked about that yesterday. I said Dana Carvey can still pull off Garth.
Oh yeah,
but that's about it.
Mike Myers looked like he needed some kind of intervention on his face. I mean, it was just bizarre looking.
He looked like the Mad Magazine cover version of Wayne.
Yeah, he did. He did. I don't know what he looks like in real life or how much they had
like Alfred E. Newman.
I haven't seen him since The Love Guru, so
they had sworn they'd never work together again because I don't know if you probably know this, but when the first draft of Wayne's World was turned in by Mike Myers, he wrote it. He wrote out Dana Carvey's character. He didn't have it, and he presented it without him, which was a dick move. And they never got along, really since, and then they were never going to do it. So it would be interesting to hear the story of how they ended up in those seats again for Uber Eats, other than just for money.
I think it started because didn't they do a skit on the anniversary special here a couple of years back?
Yeah, it might have. Maybe they started.
I think so because, I heard similar. Yeah. I heard a similar version of the story you're talking about, Tom. Basically, from what I heard, he was in the original script. But Dana read it and he's like, I don't do anything. He's like, you might as well just write me out. And that's what Mike did. And then the studio's like, no, we can't do this without Garth. So then they had to write him back in.
He was more than happy to write him out of the script, because Mike Myers is a really difficult guy to work with. One of the reasons he didn't really make many films and you don't see a lot of associations or people talking is just he burns every bridge, every person. with his ego and just being difficult and everything.
His desperation to be funny.
Yeah, it stopped. Yeah, you can only copy Peter Sellers so long.
I think he got jealous because he gave Garth more to do in that second film, and those are the best parts.
Those are the best parts. Yeah.
Well, the second film was its own nightmare because he had to rewrite that last minute because apparently he didn't get permission to the rights for the parody he was doing, even though he technically didn't need them. There was a big kerfuffle between NBC, Universal, and a couple of other properties.
For the Jurassic thing. I think it had more to do with because they were using it in the advertisements or something like that.
No, this was this was never shot. Like this script was.
Oh, okay. So this is something different. Okay.
Yeah, and it basically got Myers on Borders of Tears. And
are you talking about the Sprocket script? That's what.
No, this is way different.
Okay, because the Sprocket
this is one where we had to sign a contract not bringing it up when we were working on the weekend.
Oh, so you actually okay? Never mind.
Yeah,
gotcha.
The story went around for a while. I think even either Variety or Entertainment Weekly did an article on it a few years back. About I
thought that was the Sprocket script though.
The Sprocket script is another nightmare, but The Trouble with Wayne's World 2 is another one.
Well, yeah, that. Okay, so you're talking about another version of Wayne's World 2 that never happened. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
That he had to throw out and then had to buckle down, and I think in about 6 weeks he had to rewrite Wayne's World.
Well, 2. Yeah, because Wayne's World 2 came out literally 2 years after the first one. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Nicholas Horton sent us a 10, I think that's 10 euro. No, that's 10 pounds.
10 pounds. Yeah.
10
pounds, yeah.
Says, hail at Midnight's Edge After Dark. Voice of Eggman himself, Mike Pollock, posted a tweet saying he's now the voice actor from Sonic Games TV universe, remaining the rest have left.
Yeah, he's the only voice actor remaining. Yeah, that's probably true. There's been quite the shift there. In the recent years.
Well, does that mean that they're still doing or they're planning on doing some kind of animated Sonic?
Yeah, it was announced an animated Sonic here a while back as well, for Nickelodeon, I think it was. I have to double check that, but I do recall that another animated Sonic series was announced not too long ago. I mean.
All right. Well, that would make sense. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, rejoice. Any day the great Konkle graces us with his presence is a good one. Yes, it is. Indeed.
Thank you. That's really kind. I always appreciate that, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Thank you.
He says he even watched your movie twice, Trouble Is My Business, on your official website.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you want to take a moment.
One more time than I have. Thank you for watching it. I'm really grateful.
I was going to say, if you want to take a moment to plug your movie, go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's up on a bunch of platforms, especially Tubi TV, which I'm really loving. You find a lot of great movies, B movies, obscure movies up on Tubi TV. It uses the advertising model, so you don't have to pay. So Trouble Is My Business is up there if you search for it.
I believe it's even available on Xbox and
PS. It's on Xbox. It's on Amazon. If you go to troubleismy.biz, B-I-Z, you can see all the different places that it is. And at the moment, I am proud to say it's still at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with the regular reviewers, which is nice. Unusual. I somehow fooled them so far, but it's a love letter to film noir and mysteries from the 40s. So, I love cinema. Awesome. And I wanted to do something different, not just two guys in blue jeans on a sofa for my indie film. So I tried something ambitious set in the 40s, and I'm really proud of it.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope you can also find it by simply clicking the description, because there we have the link to it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I hope to watch it eventually here.
Yeah, take a look. I hope you look at the black and white version. That was the intended version. Streaming services are very resistant to black and white films. They don't like old movies, and they don't like black and white in general. But it is in black and white on Prime right now, and that's my preferred format. But Tubi is probably the best place to check it out in color.
Gotcha. All right. Your Muslim uncle sends us a $4.99 super chat. Says, my cousin works for an anti-trafficking organization. Most of my family is on Facebook. Best way to promote this? Best way for now to promote it would be just social media. Get the stream link out there. I believe he said Jay already has it set up, so you can probably go to his channel and find it there, and just link it out to wherever. And he said you can already donate. He's already raised, like you said, over $1,200, I think it was. So, and the money goes directly to the organization. None of the money goes to YouTube or Jay or anything like that. So, yeah, just check it out tonight. Otherwise, or you can head on over there now. It sounds like and donate as well. So, go on over there and do your thing, folks. Fezman 93 says, "Who would win in a drinking contest, drunk or critical drinker?"
I know. Jack Daniels.
The answer is the alcohol companies. Yeah. Oh, that's a good answer.
And whoever wins, their brain cells loses.
That's very true.
That's true.
Oh, Lord.
I was listening to Critical Drinker last night, as a matter of fact. He did a show about, I think they were watching Star Trek V and just talking. And it was really interesting. I love his insights and stuff. He's a great guy.
And then I lost some of the super chats here. The next one I got is this very generous one from Fon Soto.
Wow.
Sends in $50, says, "For the lights, Andre. P.S. 3PO, much respect." Sorry I didn't get to that while he was still here. My bad. Tom nude for 30 grand, Sander. I don't know about that. How do you know I'm not nude already?
I also would like to say thank you to Fon Soto for such a generous donation. That really goes a long way towards keeping the lights on. So we really appreciate that.
And yeah, so I don't know what other ones there was in between there, Andre, if you want to grab those real quick.
Yeah, sure. I don't know because I had to bow out there for a couple of
I got everything
minutes.
up until I think the Fezman was the last one just before that. So whatever's between the Fezman and Fon Soto is what I no longer have access to.
But that's because there's nothing in between them.
Okie dokie, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
That works out perfectly because then the next one is from Peter from Austria. Should I do it in the Schwarzenegger voice?
Go for it.
Now that Jay shamed me into changing my icon. Help me, Night's Edge and friends. Here, Tom Konkle. You guys rock, yeah. Thank you for the daily entertainment and the distraction.
You are most welcome. And
back to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
Yeah. Tom, you also should sing something from Austria's other big son, Falco. So you can do some Rock Me Amadeus.
Ooh, Rock Me Amadeus. Rock Me Amadeus.
I'm a big fan of Falco, by the way.
You know what's funny growing up is I always thought that song was from the movie Amadeus. It wasn't until like, I don't know, it's probably like 10, 11, 12. Whenever I finally saw Amadeus, I'm like, oh, okay. It made sense to me at the time, you know.
You're still waiting for that song. Where's the song going to come in?
You know what's even funnier, though, is that they used it in that Simpsons episode with the Planet of the Apes parody.
Dr. Zaius, yeah.
Dr. Zaius. Yeah, that was great.
Dr. Zaius. I got that T-shirt, too. Stop. I want to get off the Planet of the Apes. I love that shirt. Yeah. Latino Slants, our good buddy Paulie. How you doing? Says, wow, Tom and Andre, hail to you and me community. We got some amazing donations for the Cal Animal Rescue Squad. Awesome. Muchos gracias. Adopt, don't shop. That's right. We had another stream yesterday going on that I did my best to promote a little bit for. Paulie was helping out the puppies, and so I sent a little bit over to help out with that. And I believe he's doing another stream either later on tonight or soon here. So, and I think you can still donate for that as well. So I'm sure I can get the info for that if anybody's interested. If not, I can share that in the chat here before too long. And then we got one from Mills. It says, after 30 plus years, it's time for Paramount to finish Star Trek V, I think is what he's saying. I'm assuming you're talking about the director's cut of Star Trek V. Yeah, that's something I think that's been talked about a little bit here and there, but I don't think it'll happen.
Probably not. There's so much that they partially shot in Star Trek V that they just couldn't get the post-production done on.
Yeah, they don't have the plates to even restore some of the effects. It never got past the previs stage, unfortunately. It was a much more ambitious and very different ending. Unfortunately, it didn't have backing. In fact, that's a great example of when you go into a production once he started, they go, oh, by the way, ILM can't do any of the ship effects or any of the stuff. And they're what? So they ended up going with a place in New Jersey, literally shot it kind of in a garage in New Jersey. And it's sort of that erosion of, well, I thought I was going to do this. Okay, now I need to rethink this. So I think eventually they ended up using a 2D cutout of the ship just to move it around on a star field. So
they did something like that. They had to do rear projection, and
yeah,
they
didn't even have it. You're right. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, to start something and then realize you don't even have support to finish it, and the script is still in flow. With any film, the battle is won before it's fought. So you're fighting against all of that, and then you have so much slippage when you start losing resources. Like, I thought this company was doing the effects. I thought this was the script. I thought this was my casting, and you can tell they had to do a bunch of reshoots because even Cybok's hair length has to change because they kept having to go back, reshoot him, do all these different things. It was just very difficult.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of the most endearing stories of the character relationship between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, which, I mean, it just makes it bittersweet as a result.
Yes, I think actually I got to hand props to Shatner as far as directing it. The characters were on point, and I actually think the regrets sequence, which, by the way, because he didn't have effects, he had to do all those transitions mechanically, real time on set, going to flashbacks of Spock being born. I think, one of DeForest Kelly's best moments as McCoy was having to decide to let his father go, which shaded his character forever, because if he had waited, he would have been able to cure him. All those were some of the most interesting and deep performances that he got out of them, because I think he knew them so well. He knew what they were capable of. It was great to see him throw down one more time.
What does God need with a digital effect?
Desperately.
Did anyone else notice that the male Klingon in that looks like a lot like Taylor Kitsch today? Like, even though they're 30 years apart.
Yeah, kind of.
Now that you mention it, I can never unsee that. Yes.
Christian Coralejo, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, says, if Knuckles appears in the next Sonic the Hedgehog movie, do you think or want them to make some kind of reference to Ugandan Knuckles? Do you know the way? I think that's a good spot to jump into our main topic this morning, which is Sonic 2 was announced, right, Andre?
Yes, Sonic 2 was formally announced today. Of course, it's been announced before. So in a sense, it was re-announced.
We actually have a release date now.
With a release date, which is something that we haven't had before. There are several things to go through here. Addressing the super chat, there's one thing that wasn't in the official announcement, but that has been rumored the last few days, and that is that Knuckles, he will indeed be in the movie. We saw his people in it, in the shade in the previous movie, but he will definitely be in this one. And there's even rumors of who they want to voice him. Can you guess who that is? Well, it's in the title.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. No, but there is an Arnold Schwarzenegger link, because the one they want to voice Knuckles also played Conan.
That would be Jason, Sons of Aqua Monarchy Momoa.
No, Conan himself. On the TV series?
Conan. He played Conan in the remake.
In the remake, okay.
Hey,
Jason Momoa did.
Norm Macdonald played Conan in the remake?
No, Norm Macdonald did not play Conan in the remake.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Norm Macdonald. Hey, how you doing? I'm Conan Barbarian. I got the big old sword here.
So many dead hookers in all my life. Yeah.
So they're going with Knuckles, but they're not introducing Tails, like the buddy sidekick?
No, Tails will be there.
Tails is going to be there.
Yeah, because I think that the full title of the movie is like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and something Tails. And even in the official logo, you have the two tails. Plus, he was teased at the end of the first movie, so he will definitely be there. But Knuckles will be there too, and possibly voiced by Jason Momoa.
Okay, you're saying Norm Macdonald has absolutely no involvement in this movie.
I am very sorry to disappoint you, but he will not be there. No, but there may be
replacing Jim Carrey.
Let me just say before we go
that would be a piss poor replacement for Jim Carrey.
To Mr. Tom Konkle, I am already familiar with 2B TV. However, not for anything because they have the entire 5 seasons of Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. One of my favorite shows ever. What do we always say?
They have some obscure stuff. They have some great stuff.
What do we say? Don't get eliminated.
I'm loving Tubi TV these days. I have to admit, I discovered them because somebody told me, "Hey, your film's on there." But then I did a deep dive and found a bunch of great stuff. I mean, come on, they had the Beastmaster on there. I watched Beastmaster on that channel.
So my money is on the first trailer of Sonic Two Tails. That Jason Momoa's Knuckles will say "badass" at least once.
We're desperate here to get back on topic. That's why I'm muted.
He'll like punch something and it'll be like "badass," and it's like, yeah, that's Jason Momoa. They're gonna give Knuckles a lazy
ironically, Sonic wasn't that the largest grossing film of last year because of everything that happened?
No, but I think it still did well.
It did one of the more revered films of last year. That's for sure.
It Sonic. It was like the fan favorite of last year. It was the one movie that blew everyone away. Of course, not everyone was blown away. You had many within the industry that were very salty about the movie because they first released this initial trailer that everyone hated because they hated Sonic's design, and then the filmmakers listened to the feedback and they actually changed Sonic's design. And then they ended up with a massive blockbuster pleaser that everyone loved. The only one that didn't love it were the people in the industry and in the entertainment media complex surrounding the industry that evidently are disdainful towards the movie-going audience because they were not happy at all about them having changed the design to begin with, and certainly not about the movie being successful. They saw that as catering to the worst parts of fandom. But lo and behold, the movie actually was a smash hit, unlike all of the other things that they like and want the audience to flock to, but that they actually don't.
They must have said, we have to start actually listening to fans now? Oh, for God's sake. Well,
the thing is, it's a fan complaint that's not unreasonable. That's the other thing, too, that also, I guess, would irk them. Because it's something that they could achieve and do.
Right.
Well, but then the other thing, too, is like when I saw Sonic, I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty like nice family movie. You know? Yeah. And the one of the things I noticed, they do an interracial couple, but they do it right. They don't draw a whole lot of attention to it. They're just a couple that happens to be married.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Which is exactly what you should do. Yeah.
Tika Sumpter's gorgeous, you know. Who you know.
You got the one relative that doesn't approve of the relationship for other reasons that are aside from the bigotry ones. Like she just doesn't like her brother-in-law, and for like no apparent reason at all.
Yeah.
Like he's not good enough for you. It's like, well,
no, she's not sitting there going, "I hate that cracker ass white boy" and shit like that. You know,
she's not saying any of that nature. And then the little scene between his niece and Sonic, that was heartwarming. It was beautiful. Where she gives him the shoes, that was great.
And you know, James Marsden is not portrayed as an incompetent buffoon,
right? Which is it's refreshing. To even have to say that is strange, but it is refreshing.
No, actually, Sonic came in at number 3, but it didn't do horrible because I mean, it barely was behind.
Relative to expectations and budget, it actually did really well.
Yeah, it was barely behind 1917. And this is also a year where we've got movies like Halloween in the top 12. And I'm not talking about the 2018 remake. I'm talking about the original.
The 79
re-release,
the 78,
the 78, it did well. Empire Strikes Back did well.
Yeah. Birds of Prey was number fucking 6. And they want to pretend like that's
it beat Birds of Prey. That's the most amazing thing here, because the two movies, they came out just right around the same time, and of the two, Birds of Prey should by all metrics have floored Sonic the Hedgehog. And that didn't happen, which only goes to show to display the power that fans actually have when it's a movie that is good and that fans will rally behind.
Right.
Because here's like something that the entirety of the fandom menace for something as simple as the filmmakers actually listening and treating the fans and the character with respect, to paraphrase Doomcock, the fans did not reject. On the contrary,
Hold up,
they came flocking towards it.
I hate to change the subject real quick, but I'm looking at this list, and for fuck's sake, people were more than willing and ready to go to theaters in October. Fucking Halloween made $47 million fucking dollars.
Yeah. Well, people just want to get out of the house.
People want to get out of the house, and it's a good movie.
It almost made as much as Tenet.
Yeah.
And this is just this year. This isn't the entire gross. This is just this year.
Tom, what did I say? What did I say? Actually, the studios need the theaters more than the theaters need the studios.
What we said, and everybody called us fucking nuts, just like yesterday. Of course, so many people don't understand what an editorial or review is, and I'm sure some of those people are listening right now. And I just got to say this, guys, you guys took yesterday's video way too seriously. That's not Andre's review of the show.
Yeah,
I even say I like the show, but Marvel not Marvel, but Disney screwed up in two things there. Show is still good, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did what I would have done. Basically, they did the opposite of what I would have predicted to do as a writer.
You would think that Andre went on that video and just simply said, "Fuck you all, I'm killing your puppies," and hung up. Look at those goddamn comments. It's like, do they understand that this is not a review? I mean...
Well, the way that I see it, people are just really, really passionate about WandaVision, which is great for Marvel.
Great,
that's exactly what they need.
They're coming after us, though, so it's like, all we're doing is our fucking jobs here, guys.
Let them come. Like, it's perfectly fine. Like, if they have a disagreement, then let them have it. I apologize for nothing. So, there you have it.
But let me tell you something. You bring up a great point, though. People are desperate to get out of the house, and they will see anything. Well, not so much anything, but they'll go see good movies. Fuck it, I'll go see Casablanca on a big screen again.
Oh yeah,
I'll go see The Kane Mutiny. I'll go see Mr. Roberts. These movies are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old.
Hocus Pocus did almost $5 million. I'm looking for. I can't find Empire. Where is it?
It's the experience of seeing it with other people. You walk out, you come out of a drive-in or something like that, and you've all had this experience together. They're not really strangers anymore. The people you went with, you all were paying attention. You were all doing it, and I'll tell you, up on a big screen, everything has more power.
Please tell me I'm not the only one who's seen and likes Mr. Roberts with Henry Fonda. Please.
Oh my God. I love that movie.
Yeah, great. I watched that with my parents when I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old, and I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic!" And for a little kid to like a movie like that, that's actually really saying something.
Okay, for some reason they only have Empire listed as only making $1 million.
No, we know that's
where is
not
this
true.
list?
This is on the numbers.
Oh, that's weird.
Is that
something ain't right with
nationwide?
that? Yeah, something ain't right with that. That one should be way up.
Sound right because it had a pretty big drive-in thing. I don't know how drive-in numbers are reported.
Maybe that's why. Oh, that could very well be.
Yeah,
the
drive-in numbers might.
Bill and Ted's way down the list too, but that actually made like closer to 40 million. Which would actually put it up there almost closer to Tenet, but it's only on way down here with only 3 million because they're counting actual box office.
Yeah.
So this is in the actual box office. That's it, I guess.
Yeah, they're not counting drive-in probably.
Well, one thing that I wanted to address that Andre kind of brought up with regards to respect for Sonic is one thing you have to kind of remember and not conflate is the fact that in its inception, the Sonic movie was never going to disrespect Sonic the character.
Yeah,
like they could not reshoot that movie if they had to, and no one was asking them for it. They just said, "Hey, the Sonic design is frightening and not really faithful to the character. You should probably change that." And smart people said, "You know what? That is not unreasonable. That's something we can do." Had they said, "Oh, the story's all wrong. You don't want Jason Marsden in there," all that other stuff, the studio would look at them and look at the audience or the people, potential audience, complaining about that and saying they're out of their minds. They're crazy. But that was not the case. So one thing you have to remember with conflating, listening to the fans is to realize like what is the core of the film to begin with in the first place. Like, there was that for that moment, people were trying to crowdfund for a remake of The Last Jedi, which I completely understand, but that is very unreasonable for anything for a studio to do. No studio is going to take that seriously. No. And yet, a lot of people wanted that, and I understand that.
It was an investment in a sequel, though, because you're right. Like we reported, the movie didn't change. The only thing that changed was the design.
Exactly.
But now going forward, they didn't make as much money now on the first movie because they had to redesign it. But now the sequel is going to be pure just money in the bank.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, they know the direction they need to take. They know exactly what works, maybe, and from the reviews what doesn't, and hopefully they will take that into account and give us a very satisfactory sequel.
Yeah.
And that's something to take heed, because you don't want to use Sonic as the benchmark for like the fans always being right, or at least one voice being always right, and that studios have to bend to that win, because that's not the relationship here. The relationship is that the studios make, do the best that they can. They produce a film, and hopefully the response is good. And it's through the advertisement. The moment you try to bend something so it becomes so predictable to an audience to the point where they're not going to be entertained is the moment where the studio and the audience loses. So you kind of want to find a way to bring something new and exciting, but at the same time respect and acknowledge the fact that the audience is a lot smarter than you expect them to be.
Well, I think, and again, Script, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think that the whole idea that the fans won with this whole thing, or like they were kowtowing to, people bitching, I think that was something that the media kind of grasped onto. And I don't think that's what this is here. I think this is more of a situation where it was the fans holding the company to a standard at which almost all these IPs should really probably be held to, and that is be faithful to the original.
Yeah.
And, I think that to me was the bigger message here. And again, I know that the media was pushing this whole idea, toxic fans won, and all that kind of bullshit. And I'm like, I don't think that's really the case here. And they're doing the same thing to the Snyder Cut people, which again, I feel like is just as equally as bad, because there's no reason that shouldn't be out there. We live in a world full of, where there's 5 versions of Blade Runner, there's 2 versions of Alien, there's 3 versions of the Star Wars. Yeah. Or 4 actually. Yeah. Now if you want to really break it down. So I don't see why there's an issue with that. I think it's a good thing that the studio said, wait, stop, time out. We're going to fix this. And that's something that should have been done for every one of these franchises.
Yeah, I would say, because it's not an unreasonable question. Now, if they'd released a trailer for like The Last Jedi a year before it came out, and in that shot it was Luke Skywalker throwing the lightsaber, and people said, hey, you can't have that, then they said no and doubled down, then you've got something where you have a bit more of an argument to shade.
Right. Well, sadly, even there's no real context, but let's say... just like one I remembered was the Ninja Turtles. Everybody almost was unanimously agreed that they looked like shit. And that's the time where they should have went back and fixed them. Now, would it had fixed that movie? Fuck no. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's like, that's where something like, if they would have done that, it would have helped with like fan appreciation. And you probably would have had a lot more fans a little bit more nicer to those films. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they'd have been like, they were trying to do more like the cartoons and especially with the second one. Because I probably would have given the second one a little bit more of a pass had the Turtles not been just the same design again.
Yeah.
That was my biggest issue.
When I'm making films in today's market, I want to include people early. I'm doing a sci-fi film hopefully next year, and that's the time to leak some photos, to solicit feedback. If you're doing something particularly like Sonic, where it's like there's already the base that the film is supposed to serve the base of people who there's a surprise like Sonic. With media the way it is, social media, and getting feedback, you should be engaging the audience before you shoot one frame of it. It shouldn't be like, and here's the reveal, surprise, we subverted your expectation. It should be very much, here's what we're thinking about designs, or even, they could have done something really clever where it's like, vote on a design or send in some thoughts or whatever you want. Instead, they spent a lot of money, kind of retconning the whole thing because they just went, no, we know best and we're going to do it. And they did it in a bubble. And there's really no excuse to do something in a bubble anymore, because you have direct, unfiltered communication with the people that buy your tickets. And the people that are going to do well are the people that actually value the fans, who value the people that watch it. You can imagine just building a car and never asking what a human being looks like or sits, Yeah, we've made the chair for the car. Well, it's backwards. Oh, well, deal with it. It's like, wait a minute. No, you always test and try and do it. Art is not something that should be created in a vacuum.
Yeah, even Sam Raimi leaked Spider-Man costume concepts before the first film, just to gauge an idea. And this was in the early days of the internet. And fans are basically saying, like, no, give us the original costume. And he reconciled a little bit. He just changed the back.
No, I wish he would have released some of that Green Goblin shit ahead of time, because then maybe they got the right feedback on that one.
Yeah, and you wonder that some of that, I bet, is corporate going, no, don't release any IP, don't give away any secrets. Because I know I've worked on as a performer, not producing them, but as a performer on a lot of video games, and you literally can't release anything. Like, you can't show you in the rig, they can't show you doing the mocap, they can't show any of the designs because they're worried another company is going to steal them, or steal the tech, or steal the design idea and rush it out before. And so there's got to be a happy medium where you can solicit people's input and not worry about, getting your idea ripped off or your designs ripped off.
Well, they do
do because those companies are competing with each other. So if one solves a problem the other one hasn't solved yet, they're like, oh, we can just copy that and then maybe get a foothold and step up above.
Exactly.
Well, and the other thing too, a lot of game designers tend to work for other, it's a lot of it's contract work. So when a guy gets done, just for purposes of discussion, guy gets done working on the new Splinter Cell game, he's going to go to from Ubisoft, he's going to go to EA, and he's going to work on another game that's similar. You don't want they kind of want to avoid that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm still sitting on pictures. I did one of the Call of Duties. I was one of the characters in it, and I took some pictures in a mirror of like the front and back of the rig I was wearing. And they're like, look, if you ever post this picture or release this picture, you're gonna not only pay, but you'll never work again.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I can see that with designs, especially ones that are, computer tech designs or a villain design is a problem, but there's got to be a workaround where you can at least solicit some input at some point and have it be protected.
Right. Yeah. And Tyler Rude brings up an interesting point here. Like, a lot of times, I agree with you, Tyler. These so-called director's cuts or unrated cuts, special editions, are generally just that, a double dip excuse. But once in a great while, you will get the one that actually necessitates this. And that's where I'm talking things like, the Donner cut. Like Dune needs an official, extended cut release, even if Lynch doesn't want to be involved. That's another one I'm sure Andre would agree with me on.
Yeah, it needs another one, because what they should just take the fan edit that we have spoken about before, the alternate cut redux by Spice Diver.
Well, not just that.
Just make that official.
They have a lot more shit that we've probably never seen. And here's the thing: I'm sure I heard rumors that that's going to be, and I'm sure Universal will want to cash in on the new version coming out. I heard rumors that that's up on the block this year for 4K.
They'd be stupid
so if that's
not
the
to.
case, if you're going back into the vault and you're getting the negative out and you're doing all this shit, you should get everything out and get everything scanned. That way you got everything and go, hey, Dave, come on, man. And if he goes, nope, then you got everything already ready to do. And like Andre will, point out too, a lot of the shit that needs fixing in those, as far as special effects, you can do on a home computer now.
It has been done on a home computer.
So you don't need to spend a shit ton of money to fix Dune. It doesn't need all that shit. You can recomposite everything now so much easier. You don't have to go through the optical process. And it can look so great. Because, look at, even though the Donner cut was kind of done on the cheap, all those composites in that movie look better than the original Superman, dude.
Yeah. Well, they color corrected everything.
Because everything's done in the computer now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can clean stuff up. And I was actually surprised when they did the HD upres of Babylon 5 that they didn't correct a lot of the problems, but I think it was that they couldn't open a lot of the files or the creation source material to do a lot of the stuff, and it's unfortunate they just upresed what they already had. Because that's something where, can you imagine getting a contract? You're like, look, I'll honor all the original designs, but I can upgrade the effects, a la what they did with the original Star Trek series. You just go in, use the original ship designs, but bring them back, bring them into the way they probably meant them to look, but couldn't afford to make them look.
Yeah. And there's a few arguments to be made for certain films, but no, I agree, Tyler. A lot of times they're just a waste of time. I'll generally prefer the theatrical.
It was
very lucrative for the physical media market. I remember that.
Yeah, but that's why you have like this negative thing about director's cuts and unrated cuts and everything. The culprit for that is actually Tom Rothman. It's his fault, because he was the one that mandated that every single Fox movie that was to be released on Blu-ray, and that was every single one, they were to have an extended cut or unrated cut or director's cut or something, anything to double dip. And most of the times it was simply that they added a few seconds that were supposed to be removed from the movie anyway, and then they just called it unrated cut, which was true because they didn't submit it to the MPAA for rating. So it was true that it was an unrated cut, but it had just like 5 seconds worth of extra completely harmless footage. So that was like a scam from him. So that's also Tom Rothman's fault. Is why.
And the only one that came out of that was worth a shit is this one right here, John Apocalypse. You are correct. Out of that entire endeavor that we were just talking about, the Daredevil director's cut is probably the only one we got.
This one of two. That's one.
What was the other one? What was the other one?
Kingdom of Heaven.
Okay, yeah.
I was just about to say.
Heaven. I forgot
it's not a perfect film, but the director's cut is much better.
I thought that was DreamWorks for some reason, but I remember all the Fox movies that came out for that period. Yeah, they all had those stupid unrated cuts. What were you saying, Rob?
I was saying that actually the Daredevil director's cut is actually a much better movie.
Yeah,
it really is.
You're right.
I think that's why that's one of the only ones that's gotten carried over to Blu-ray.
Yeah, because that's a genuine director's cut. That's like the difference. That here there was a cut that the director preferred, and then the studio didn't like it, so they went in and they recut the movie, and so we ended up with that drivel in theaters, the studio approved cut from Rothman and his acolyte. I forgot his name. So in that particular case, there really was another cut of the movie. But otherwise, 9 times of 10, they just added in a few extra frames and they called it that.
Kingdom of Heaven did get released, but like outside of that, like the Fantastic Four extended cut didn't get released on Blu-ray, I don't think, and all the other ones they did in that time period.
I will say though that the theatrical cut of Daredevil, if you want to look at something to hold up as an example of how to put a DVD release together, the DVD release of the theatrical cut of Daredevil is
special features are amazing,
remarkably good. I mean, the interactive menus, the special features, the commentary alone is actually is fantastic with Mark Steven Johnson.
Well, there's one particular documentary on there that's not even about the making of the movie. It's just about the history of Daredevil. That's amazing in and of itself.
This is like Stan's on. I haven't seen in a while. Stan, he's like, I had a character named Daredevil, and he wore a yellow costume. And someone said,
the yellow costume better.
Someone said, Stan, change it. You have to change that. So I said, okay, how about red?
My excuse was he was blind. He wouldn't know what fucking color he was wearing. Excelsior.
Fucking so yeah, there are some. There are a couple of very decent director's cuts out there, but those are the ones that are genuine director's cuts. Most of what is labeled that really isn't. It's marketing BS.
As much as I love Lord of the Rings, I don't think I could sit through the director's cut. I really don't.
Those are one of the few random ones that are actually better than the originals.
Yeah, as for in my own headcanon, the theatrical cuts don't exist. It's the extended versions are busts because they're the only ones that actually matter.
Yeah, you can tell, Rob, if you actually watch them, that they were clearly just cut down for time. Like all the stuff getting added in is worth watching.
Yeah, nothing is added in the extended cuts. They're not extended. They're the real cuts of the movie. The theatrical ones, they are butchered down.
New Line and Warner Brothers said keep it under 3 hours. They wanted the running time under 3 hours.
That's why. Exactly. And to the point where in the third film, like, is the worst of the bunch as far as being butchered, because they even have an entire sequence that's completely different in the director's cut.
Saruman isn't
Saruman's fight.
The theatrical version.
This is the mouth of Sauron too. I mean, did that make it into the
that's in the director's cut too.
In the director's cut. Yeah, the Blu-ray box disc is definitely the one to watch, and the new 4K one looks amazing.
Personally, I don't even understand why they've even continued releasing the theatrical versions, because they're butchered versions that there's no reason to keep around.
For the only reason that I just said, because there's that alternate scene. Anyway, sorry, Rob.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. It's probably for the people who saw it and then aren't really enthusiasts, that for the mass consumption. That's why
even for them, the extended versions are where it's at. Valiant Renegade, they even says that for $2. Lord of the Rings director cuts are the only real versions. I say that as someone that I don't care about Tolkien one way or the other. I respect him, but I didn't grow up with Lord of the Rings or nothing like that. If anything, I care less about Lord of the Rings than I do Star Wars. And I've never made any secret about how little I really care for Star Wars. It's only recently with The Mandalorian that has changed. But the director cuts of Lord of the Rings are the only versions that matter. And on that note, I haven't seen the 4K versions, but Valiant Renegade says that they are exquisite. So maybe I should check them out.
For the upconverted stuff, other than that, it's great. Sorry, you were saying, Tom, go ahead.
I was just going to say the 4K is a retransfer, and Andre, it's worth looking at because not only is the color timing improved, but just the overall resolution of the film. It's the experience of almost seeing it again, and I would highly recommend. It's a way to show off any 4K system you have.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the bonus of that is that the original films have a lot less CGI than you'd think, of course.
Yes.
So that's a plus, because the CGI is upconverted, but the plus side is a good 2/3 of the effects are probably actually miniatures and practical effects. So
absolutely, it's worth a look. Highly recommend it.
Compared to The Hobbit, which I believe actually was shot at 5K or whatever, and then
it was shot with that super high 60 frames per second.
But they still haven't been able to do that on video yet for Blu-ray. So like I was telling Andre, like you can't tell. Like the believe it or not, luckily the Hobbit on Blu-ray doesn't look that bad. It actually looks like a film. So
it looks like a film and not a behind the scenes set video.
Yeah, it doesn't look like security cam footage. Yeah.
Now you just need to find the. I'm sure it's out there, the version where somebody just truncated. Now that's one that needs to be truncated it into just what's in the books.
Yes, actually, there is a fan that does that.
The Hobbit should have been one movie. It didn't need to be a trilogy. It would be interesting to see someone do a cut if they had access to some of the elements and just blend it all together.
I don't think you really need much else than what's there, because they did the director's cuts. So then I'm sure 90% or so of what you needed, because everything from the book is pretty much in there. You just got to cut it down.
The only problem is that it's integrated with the storylines.
Unfortunately,
that could not be there. That's like the issue.
Just zoom out and crop out what's her face, cut her out completely.
She the one from the love subplot.
Yeah, the whole love subplot shit. Get all that shit out of there.
Yeah, as if she would ever look at him.
You could probably do it nowadays with the way things. I'm sure there's a pretty good cut out there of it.
Yeah, it must be.
They're probably
Valiant Renegade also says yes, fresh 4 film scans with HDR10 and Dolby Vision. So yeah, high praise for that.
Let's be real though, all we really want out of The Hobbit is riddles in the dark in the final battle anyway. So
that's true.
The music was better in the 70s version anyway.
Yes, it was. I paid $40 for a record album of that.
Where there's a whip,
back to the Ralph Bashki one.
A way.
I have that one as well.
Where there's a whip.
Who did that?
That's the Return of the King one though. Oops. But I have that as well. No, that's all right. Most people don't remember the Return of the King, Rob. I'm actually impressed.
That's difficult to find. Yeah, it's mostly out of production everywhere, so it's difficult to get a hold of.
I remember Gollum looking like a lizard.
Yeah, that was the only downside, is they fucked him up a little bit, but they had the perfect voice because they had what's his face doing the voice. He's got a weird name.
Yeah, be that as it may.
He was always on Letterman and shit.
Yeah. Tom, how far along are we in Super Chats before we get into the next main topic?
I lost a few, so we have to pick back
up. What was the last one?
The last one we had was the Knuckles one, I believe. And then we just grabbed that one randomly.
Okay. Oh yeah, from Christian Corralejo. If Knuckles appears in the next, yeah, right. Then we had Mr. Tickle Trunk that says 10 Canadian dollars and says to Tom, as a child, I thought the song "Gladly the Cross-Eyed Bear" was a song about a teddy bear named Gladly that had something wrong with his eyes. That's a quote from Billy Connolly.
I like Billy Connolly. Speaking of Lord of the Rings. Because he was in The Hobbit.
Yeah. And Grand Wazoo 42 sent us a €10 super sticker, so thanks for that. And Peter from Austria, he had something to say about your Schwarzenegger impression, Tom. He says, here are $5 more for the perfect Arnie impression, Tom. Get to the chopper. That's the request.
Get to the chopper now.
You know, speaking of Billy Connolly, I still haven't seen The Man Who Sued God. I mean,
that is a good ass movie, man.
Yeah,
I remember you telling me to see that. Yeah,
yeah. The whole premise is actually really good, and it's just the idea. What do you all the like faith leaders? What are you trying to prove here? I'm like, I just want my boat back.
You guys ever seen that?
Nope.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you know who Billy Connolly is, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a hilarious film. It's he's just a lackadaisy, like fucking just asshole.
He's just just a guy who just wants to go fishing.
Yeah, he just doesn't do shit. And I think he's had a divorce and all this other crap, and all he's got left is his boat. So he lives on this houseboat, and after a storm, it gets destroyed. Well, the insurance company won't cover it, and they cite act of God. So he's like, fuck this, and he sues God. So on behalf of God, you've got all the religious people.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it's this big courtroom kind of comedy back and forth about, just kind of, and it does have a lot of, theological questions about the whole thing of like, it boils down to like, he says, I get it. It's just an excuse for them to get out of it. But that's the point, is they shouldn't be able to hide behind something that doesn't even technically exist in the eyes of the law.
Right. Oh, that's good. I just looked it up. It's an Australian film.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's not this thing. He's like, I just want my boat back.
Yeah, that's really well. And it just turns back. And it turns into this big thing, of course, because like the media jumps on it and turns him into like this. Oh, he's this guy who's trying to fight the good fight and prove that God exists and all this shit. And he's just like, I don't care. I
just want my boat back.
I just want the insurance company to pay me the boat.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Just the trailers alone, that big voice, the man who sued God.
I am surprised they haven't like ripped it off with Adam Sandler yet. Let's put it that way. Like
you're right.
I just want my boat back.
Exactly.
I'll have to check that out. It sounds good.
Rob Schneider would be the harbor master.
Of course.
Yeah. You can sink it. Like that's what he's gonna say.
That Harv guy. That Harv guy sued God. Yep, Scottish, all right.
Well, because I say that because they did remake the Strange Bedfellows, as I now pronounce you, Chuck and Larry, which is also a much better version of that story as well. So I believe that's also an Australian film.
Yeah,
so Paul Hogan, and I can't remember the other comedian in it, but yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Sounds good.
Yeah, Strange Bedfellows, I definitely recommend. I do not recommend I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem.
Somehow I think that won't come up. Yeah.
No, Strange Bedfellows makes it work, and yeah, it works as it is. So, because at least in that, I mean, they're both firemen in that one too, but they're like both widowers and shit. So like it makes a little bit more sense how they both kind of come to the conclusion.
They don't put Jessica Biel in any uncomfortable positions.
Yeah, it's just the Sandler movie stretches it so far. And all I remember when that came out is I kept telling people, I'm like, you know what? We have this movie already. It's better. It's called, straight. And I tried to turn more, and a few people did, and they're like, you're right. It is much better. Anyway, moving on. That was a tangent.
Speaking of better, now that we've ended that tangent, Lego Darth Jar Jar says for $5, I have more hope for the Sonic franchise than I do Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. That says a lot right there. Yeah, it indeed does.
And I wonder how much faith you had after seeing those Joker pictures, which we're going to.
Yeah, exactly. What did those Joker pictures do to your faith and everyone else's? Because as you all will recall, Jared Leto, he was kind of humiliated by the media, by viewers, by everyone in the aftermath of the first Suicide Squad movie. Incredibly, it did well at the box office. It didn't fare so well with the viewers, and worst of all was Jared Leto. Now, his performance does have some fans. This is very important to highlight. Not everyone disliked it. I will admit that even myself, I thought it was like mesmerizing in a strange way, as I've said before. But he wasn't the Joker from the comics. Like,
yeah,
this is another Joker. And now he got another chance. But Script, you were saying something. So let's begin with that. And then we take the round with what we thought of the Joker to begin with and why he looks so different now.
Well, for starters, the reaction, I call that karma, because Jared Leto is very much a method actor, and he pulled some things with cast and crew that was inappropriate and should not have happened.
Yeah, sending used condoms and nasty
used
stuff
condoms
like that.
and some brown paper bags that did not have things you'd expect in them.
Did he pull an Amber Heard in those brown paper bags?
No.
Well, he gave him a dead rat.
No, yeah.
He sent them dead rats, didn't he?
Dead rats, yeah.
And a dead pig, I think, was as well.
Yeah, and this is something
like a dead pig to Viola Davis or something.
I heard about that after, during the actual theatrical run of it, not during pre-production that I was in.
I was going to say though, but even though this stuff has always been alleged because there was a back and forth about it, you say that you actually were witness to one of these.
Yeah. Basically, it just came to our area. Guy opened it up, said nope, threw it away, and told me what it was, and it was just a couple of prophylactics and a little animal thing.
Wow.
Kind of stupid, kind of not appropriate. If fans didn't like his performance, well, good on him. He method himself into an idiotic place for the character. Regardless of if the production or the director liked what he was doing, that type of stuff doesn't need to be done for an actor to get in the mindset of a role.
Well, I think
that's doing it for publicity and personal ego as opposed to performance.
Yes.
I was going to say, I think that story in and of itself is proof that he didn't understand the character. Because send you something like that just randomly. If he sends it to you, there's a reason for it.
Yeah. Well, also, as Laurence Olivier once said to, I think it was Dustin Hoffman on Marathon Man, Dustin Hoffman insisted on staying up night after night. So when he's tortured, he's out of his mind. And Olivier, who's one of the greatest actors on stage ever, goes, "Try acting, my boy." It's like you don't have to be crazy and mailing stuff off. Just nail the character, inhabit the character. I think what freaked him out is you're following up an Oscar-winning performance and an actually really good performance by Heath Ledger, and he tried to distance himself to the point that he lost the granular part of the character. He lost what the character was, and it became technique. And let me show you how different I am and how intricate it is. And he didn't capture the essence of it because he's running too fast from the previous performance, in my opinion.
No, I would say you're right. I would say it would have been to his better advantage to try and adapt his take on the Joker to be more comic book accurate, because regardless of what you think of how much you love or not love Heath Ledger, I don't know many who wouldn't, Heath Ledger's Joker is Joker in name only. There's nothing Joker about that character in the 65 years of comics up until that point when his performance was revealed that would say that this is irrefutably a Joker character. It's just a very perverse take on it and a very interesting and fun one, but it is in no way recognizable as the Joker, and that's where the Heath Ledger's power for that role kind of came to be. Unfortunately, since that performance, everybody has used that as the benchmark to reinterpret the character afterwards, even so much so into the comics to some extent. And you're kind of losing something as a result of that. It's such a significant stamp that is it really the best direction for a character that for decades has been methodical and crazy and plotting and personal and egocentric and all these things. And instead they just oversimplify and be like, no, he's random, he's chaotic, he just, does whatever. It's like, because that's not what the Joker is.
That's not what the Joker is. No.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, they got him pretty close in The Dark Knight. I mean, yeah, there's some things you can debate about, but like a great example is the Killing Joke. The joke of it is, at least in Joker's side, the sick, twisted joke of that is that he didn't kill Barbara.
Yeah.
He left her to live the joke. That's the joke. I'm using that term as the tragedy. Like he put whatever term you want there. That's the thing with the Joker is just as mad and cap as he seems, everything he does is cold and calculated. And it's very thought out. Like that was the whole thing what I loved about, we can debate about the end of The Dark Knight, but that's what's great about that ending is like, he wants to prove that Batman's a hypocrite and that people all are hypocrites.
People are all self-serving as opposed to selfless. Yeah,
that's true.
And the way they go about the narrative to execute that is to try and put on this guise of him being a chaotic character, when in the truth, by the end of the film, you realize, oh no, he's been leading up to this point this entire time. And so many more fans that I've seen forget that aspect of him, especially in the comic book world, when they keep on trying to write him into a way where he is kind of random and it's all happenstance. And you're like, well, that's not the Joker. You missed the point there. The Joker and Batman plan so much. Batman is to be prepared for anything, and the Joker just plans his schemes so meticulously that he can accommodate for almost anything. And when the two butt heads, that's where you get your drama and your exciting conflict resolution and story.
Yeah. Well, one represents order, the other pure chaos.
Or so you think, yeah.
Yeah, so you think in the setup. And then I will say, the black and white, releasing those pictures of Jared Leto in black and white are very striking and dramatic. That was kind of a smart move. And he certainly seems like a streamlined version of it, a less affected version. They're not accenting the tats and the slick back hair and stuff.
He has no tats in the pic, actually.
Yeah, well, he's wearing like a full shirt, so I don't know if he does in anything else.
Well, he doesn't have like the broken head or tattoo in the heads, because that was like the one that really annoyed people.
Yeah,
it was like the hand with the stupid smile that he like held over his face to simulate like a laugh. It was like, you're the Joker, why can't you just laugh properly, even if your teeth are busted in? And then it was the one that said broken on his forehead, or damaged, or whatever it was. And that's the one that people really had issues with. Yeah, well, something like that.
Well, and I'm curious if this is even really okay, because like the pictures that go along with this are Batman in his nightmare gear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, with the trench coat. Well, this is still looking like they're trying to take the Heath Ledger approach and then just Zack Snyderify it.
Also, it looks like he's comped into those backgrounds. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's a real setting there, because the perspective is really weird.
I think it's supposed to be a dream.
What type of cell is a hallway?
Because like that's on the reverse is Batman, and it looks like there's like no doors out of there or anything like that. And of course, we could be somewhere not seeing, but I have a feeling this is more a part of a vision or a dream than it is an actual.
It could be like an alternate future Joker set in the nightmare timeline or something like that. We don't really know, because they kind of have to find some way of explaining why this Joker is so night and day different from the Joker we already saw. This Joker looks a million times better. I mean, if I had to say something, he looks like a mix between Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix Joker. So it's kind of like you see where they took inspiration
from. With a little bit of Batman Beyond Joker mixed in.
With a little bit of Batman Beyond Joker, yeah. So
and
it's
then
like
Alpha Proto calls him Nightmare Joker. I like that. I just call him that probably for now, until we know better.
Yeah.
For the time being, to see in the restored version of the film how he plays into that, or how it colors it. It would be interesting, I want to see how they integrate it, because, the point of having him there needs to be that it advances the story somehow, or that it shades the Batman character a little bit. But it does, I agree with Andre, it does look much more like you would want the Joker to look.
Yeah, because I think what happened must have been that they tried something completely different. They thought that the audiences was going to respond to it, and they saw, oh no, audiences didn't respond at all. On the contrary, by and large, they recoiled from it, but they really, really responded to Joaquin Phoenix, and they really, really responded to Heath Ledger.
That's
like the
right.
two of them were both stellar. So okay, let's redo this, and we're going to do it in that image. And I'm excited to see how his performance will reflect that, because you have to say this is something that you have to give him. That, yeah, Jared Leto, he's an actor that goes a little bit too method. He comes across like an aloof weirdo and a bit of a freak. If that is just the persona that he wants to give off, or if he really is that way, I don't know. James Gunn seems to be of the opinion that he very genuinely is a creep, and that could be. But he's a really good actor. I mean, there was something about his Joker performance before, even if it wasn't the Joker. And he was really good in Dallas Buyers Club. He was really good in Requiem for a Dream, and pretty much everything else that he's ever been in. Yeah. So he's a really good actor. And if he has now a director that can not necessarily hold him in check, but now has the benefit of 2020 hindsight, seeing, okay, what you did before that really didn't work, but we saw what Joaquin Phoenix did, and that did work. So now when we have a chance to actually do this over, let's do what hindsight tells us that we should have done back then, since we have the chance for it right now. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do with that performance, because as Dirty Soul Monkey says, it was confirmed that this is the future Nightmare Joker.
Yeah, but how many minutes are we going to get of him? He was like in 11 minutes of Suicide Squad. That's barely anything.
I think there's 4 minutes of screen time in. I believe I read that somewhere, that he'll have 4 minutes of screen time, which is almost as much screen time as
most of it's in slow motion, though. I read.
I'm
kidding. That was a
joke. And this is all part of the reshoot too. So this is some of the most recently shot stuff.
Yeah,
and you know what? You're right.
Months ago,
a good director takes an actor's energy. He is talented, but they direct that energy. They don't suppress it, as you say. They don't.
They channel it
in check. You channel that energy that they have in the right direction. Like David Ayer took him in one way with the Suicide Squad, and that didn't work. But then it would be interesting to see, if Zach had any kind of handle on him and kind of reined him in. He's not a bad actor. I even liked him as the creepy guy in Blade Runner 2049. I think
he was good there too. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he could be good. It's just a question of how he's applied and how good the script is that he's given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the script. I don't expect any wonders. I expect it's going to be like, if you like Batman v Superman, you'll probably like this. But so the best thing that he can do is probably to rein in his Joker a little bit and make it fit with the new look. And if he can do that, he's going to have a new chance at fixing his Joker legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that's true. I wonder, and maybe Script knows, did they bring in a new writer for the reshoots? Did they do some work on the script, or did they just shoot more of what Snyder originally wrote?
I have no idea. I wish I did. I would assume it's just what originally.
I was going to say, I'm sure he has to work.
Chris Terrio wrote.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he has to work with what there was there, because I mean that was the original thing that we kept saying, is that they at least I was saying is that they only shot like 80% of the movie.
Yeah.
And when they did that first screening, even though even Andre would argue with me about it, I'm like, no, this is what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be approximately like 3 hours, because it was originally planned to be a 5-hour epic.
Yeah, and after they watched it, they fucking panicked. And of course, you guys got to remember, this was right after BVS had come out in theaters. And I think Suicide Squad and all that was right after that too. So like it was,
this was filmed. They started filming Justice League 1 month after Batman v Superman tanked with audiences. That's when they started filming. There was no prep time or anything to like do any massive changes in advance. They had to make them on the fly. At the same time, they were trying to fix Suicide Squad in the editing bay. I mean, that didn't come out until the initial stage of filming of Justice League was already finished. Of course, there were multiple rounds of reshoots there. Further, there was like a round of reshoots with Zack Snyder before Joss Whedon ever took over. So I am of the opinion that 100% of the footage that Joss Whedon wanted to film was filmed back in the day. But now, in the benefit of hindsight, knowing that he's going to get a 4-hour movie, really, he was going to get a 4-hour miniseries. It's not going to be a 2.5-hour movie. Because
but that's not what he said, and that's not what he was told. What I was told either, though. But anyway, sorry for that.
Yeah, but no, but I'm just talking about what happened then, because then they had like maybe a rough cut of like 4 hours, but that's not the Snyder cut that was like being talked about as being released. What was to be released would be like a 1-hour movie, so all of the footage was never ever going to be released. Like Justice League Part 1 was never going to be a 4-hour movie in the release version. Maybe he would pull like a Watchmen later on, but that wasn't the intention to put into theaters. Whereas now, with the benefit of hindsight, they can put in some new scenes and stuff like that. We know they filmed new scenes with Jared Leto. We know they filmed new scenes with Ben Affleck, and we know they filmed new scenes with Amber Heard. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but they did. And she's like replacing Jason Momoa for the nightmare sequences, because that's, I think, is what they most of the film knew is probably Nightmare, that they expanded upon that. And the rest is probably much as it was. And they would probably have needed a writer to fill out the Nightmare sequence.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, is that there may have been somebody that was brought in to not only make connective tissue, because it's now in a different format as a 4-parter, but like you were saying, seeing how fan response was to some things, you could easily make tweaks. And since it's mostly a green screen show and you're dealing with, pandemic issues and shooting as well, you can isolate people in green screens and really tailor a performance or really change a performance quite a bit, or even reaction shots to a performance. So it'll be very interesting. This doesn't happen very often, but he's essentially remaking a large sections of it, even in the edit. You can change backgrounds, you can change context. The nature of making a green screen movie does give you a more modular approach to making a film, as you can put people together in a frame that more easily that were never even in a frame together.
Yeah.
Well,
you were saying.
Well, I was just saying, I was under the understanding from the person I had talked to about this whole thing that there was still a few things that needed to be finished. Like the movie was literally only like 80% or so done. But the stuff that needed to be done was like ancillary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying like, once they brought because that cut was only like 3 hours and whatever. Yeah, the version we're getting now, though, I'm sure is everything added back in that they already cut out before, plus whatever they're doing now to either finish off and possibly add more to it, like you're saying. I'm not saying that part's not wrong. But one thing everybody's like, oh, no, it was finished before. It was done. He filmed it all. No. What I heard, he was not done. It was damn near done, but there was still some like 2 major sequences or something like that needed to be filmed, and then just a couple second unit things or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. And this will be the first time we see Affleck and Leto in the same frame as Batman and Joker together, which is a nice new kind of maybe.
Well, they were together in Suicide Squad in one shot.
Okay, but
that was a stuntman. That wasn't Affleck.
Yeah, it was a stuntman. But he does a line in that, even though it's on him. But yeah, that's true.
I think we're actually going to see a scene though between them, so that could be interesting.
Too bad it's like not a real scene, but like the nightmare scene. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays off in the movie, because I do think it's going to be very different from the Whedon cut. And I also think that this Joker is going to go a long way towards redeeming Jared Leto.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think the nightmare stuff was stuff that was all that was probably left anyway, because I think that was an idea that was being axed as they were going along, because like it's barely even present in the Joss Whedon version. And that was one thing that we always, that was a big deal for Snyder. He kept teasing stuff from that nightmare. So
I'm still trying to figure out why Batman would wear a trench coat.
Yeah,
because it looks cool, right?
Yeah, but it's not as functional. Like his cape at least had function to it. It's like it helped him
I agree. Well, the nightmare sequence always seemed disconnected from the cut that was released. It didn't ever really integrate story-wise that well. It will be interesting to see what the original intent was if they're able to execute that.
Yeah.
That I think will remain compromised, because here's the thing: that nightmare sequence, when that was filmed, the intention was not to do one Justice League movie, but to do two Justice League movie, Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2. And then this is one of the things that did change in the month between Batman v Superman opening and Justice League Part 1 starting to film. The two movies got truncated into one. And the one thing that would be severely compromised in that truncating was the whole nightmare sequence, because that wasn't just a sequence. That was going to apparently be a big chunk of the first movie, or even the second one. I don't know exactly where, but over the course of 2 movies,
leading to what the hell is it called? The story where Lois dies and Superman goes bad.
Yeah,
the Injustice one.
Injustice.
Yeah. And to me, that was super interesting. If you go back and read or check out our discussions from that when that movie came out, both myself and many others were like, that's the most interesting part here. And that's the thing that they cut out, because that had to be truncated completely when they went from Justice League's Part 1 and 2 to just Justice League, period. And that was also the case with the Snyder Cut. That movie was also compromised. It wasn't the vision that he had for one story told across 2 movies. How much of that he's been able to salvage in this movie, that'll be interesting to see. Obviously more, since they filmed both the Jared Leto and Amber Heard in the nightmare sequences. So there must be more, but not as much as originally was intended to be. I have to say that I think that the trench coat Mad Max Batman was an awesome look, but that's me.
Well, it's all because of streaming and the changing ways that we're looking at movies that this is even possible. So I'm very curious to see what they do.
It will be very interesting to see what they do. Any other thoughts on the Jared Leto images?
We'll see. That's all I can say.
Okay, then I want to see what you all have to say in the comments and super chats before we move into the next main topic of the day. Moving on from there, then, Miguel Hernandez says for $5, the success of Tubi and Pluto TV shows Sony and Walmart missed an opportunity by selling Crackle and Vudu. AVOD has a huge potential market.
That is so true. AVOD, of course, is advertising video on demand. It's basically going back to cable, where you put a few ads in there. But what's great for the people that make the movies is you get much more of the revenue from the ads that are placed in there. And people that want to watch the movies aren't paying a subscription. They're free. You can go on Tubi and just watch it. I think AVOD is going to be a great way to see not only independent film, but just have access to streaming movies and TV that you're not paying a dozen different subscription prices for.
Yeah, it's like network television on demand.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of interesting.
And then we have Christian Coralejo, who says, I thought Dwayne Johnson would voice Knuckles. And that may still happen. Like Jason Momoa so far is just a rumor. So we'll have to wait and see who
Very
actually
similar
ends up voicing him, but he'll be in the movie. That's for certain.
Two very similar voices. Yeah.
Very similar.
Brian Kim says, as much as I liked Sonic, Ben Schwartz, the guy who voiced Sonic, bailed out rioters and looters this summer. Sonic 2 is a no for me. It's a very fair opinion, as long as you're clear about why that is. So if you're not seeing it for that reason, then communicate it from the rooftop. So that's why. So no one thinks it's because you don't want Sonic.
You could also look at it, though, as he's one of the few celebrities who put his money where his mouth is, and it's his money. So it's not like, I mean, I guess there's that angle to it, too. I mean, take that as you will.
Yeah, he's also one of those that, he put his money where his mouth is, but he also has the money for a private security force, while he wanted everyone else to have theirs defunded.
I get it. I'm just saying, it could be worse. It could be some of those who just love to stir shit up, but don't actually, give anything. Certain other people who promise, a lot of money to kids' charities.
Well, certain others who promise and they only deliver, like poop in the bedside. So
very poopy deals.
Yeah. And the Fesma 93. Oh, here's a good question. Is Quicksilver the Luke cameo, or will someone else appear later? Obviously, in reference to WandaVision.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you all have to say about this.
Let's go with Tom first, because he may actually know a thing or two about it. I don't know.
Yeah, Tom, I don't know what you can say, but we can begin with. What do you think about WandaVision?
You know what? At first, I wasn't sure where it was going. I will say this. When a company becomes successful like Marvel has, you want them to take more chances and not less. So whether you like WandaVision or not is almost less relevant than the fact that you see a company that does this well and at least takes a chance. You learn more from failing at something than you do from success. The fact that they're doing something a little different, they're doing kind of the Twin Peaks take on some of their characters, like it or not, I am actually quite pleased that at least they're trying something somewhat different, that they're trying a slow burn, that they're trying a mystery, that they're trying something surreal. I have to applaud them for the daring as a company that could be very, very middle of the road, could just do more of the same. I'm very pleased they are. I think from what I know, the Quicksilver cameo is doing several things. It's tying together the X-Men universe Marvel and this Marvel in a very new and unique way, both in a real world practical way. They needed to start doing that for certain reasons, but also it's starting to knit together the idea of mutants existing in what has traditionally been the MCU that we know. So this is a very experimental show that could only happen once you've been very successful. And the fact that they are using the actor from the X-Men films is a signal to us that perhaps there is going to be more cameos. Maybe there's more things that are going to unite what used to be one camp, X-Men camp, different studio, and this camp. And that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I will also say, before I say script, what do you think? Was this the Luke Skywalker level cameo?
No, I didn't think so at all. I mean, I thought it was a neat one, a great one to start off potential. But as much as people have enjoyed Evan Peters as Quicksilver, because, I mean, he has the most interesting super speeding scenes. And that's kind of what made his mark on the role. I mean, outside of that, when you just listen to him talk in the movies that he's been in, he doesn't really do anything or set himself up differently or apart from the rest of the cast. It's only those special effects scenes and the goofy stuff that he gets to do within them that gives us such a reverence for him as a character. So it'll be interesting to see how they reinterpret him in WandaVision, but I don't think he himself as an actor and even as a character is large enough to be compared to a Luke Skywalker-esque reveal. I think that's something that's going to happen later in this series.
Yes, I think there will be. I can pretty much safely say there'll be some more surprises.
Rob?
I loved it. It was much better than Cats. I'm going to watch it again and again.
He's got a rifle pointed at his head right now. He has.
No, he just wants this.
Fired. You're unfired. I need you. Come here.
I didn't, honestly, didn't watch Days of Future Past.
You didn't?
Yeah, no, I was.
Rob doesn't watch movies. Here's full disclosure. Rob doesn't watch shit.
Unless there's someone named Debbie and she's going to Dallas. Then or there's a green door and
or it's a really old movie that I send him, or Rocky and Bullwinkle, or Mary.
Well, no, this is hardly the Luke Skywalker cameo that we were promised. I thought someone's gonna be something earth-shaking.
Has anyone promised us Luke Skywalker cameo?
Yes. Freaking Elizabeth Olsen. She's this is a Luke Skywalker level cameo.
She didn't say this. She said there will be, and it was, I think, just before this happened. But I don't think this is it.
Yeah, way to increase expectations. Good going, Elizabeth. Good going.
I think if it's not somebody who's already in the MCU like Tony or Captain America, I think it's going to be, and this is along with the lines of what most people are saying, it's going to be Magneto. And my guess, 75% chance it's going to be Ian McKellen's Magneto, 25% chance it's
Michael
Fassbender. And I just think it's going to be the older Magneto for the main reason that she's trying to rebuild her family. So she's going to want the more older kind of fatherly type one, to where Fassbender's not probably that.
You can always age him up, though.
Then again, the other wild card I got out there is it's Hugh Jackman, but no, they're going to save him for Deadpool 3 or something else.
To me, that would be the Luke Skywalker level cameo if it was Hugh Jackman as Wolverine showing up.
That would be very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't
know. They have deep pockets and huge resources at Disney producing this. They're spending feature film money on this, so you never know. The movie's not. It's not done. It's definitely not done.
I heard a rumor that they actually, and this is just a rumor I heard, that it is Magneto, and they reached out to both Fassbender and McKellen to see which one they could get. So I guess that's just take that with a grain of salt. I have no idea how obviously accurate that is, and I have nothing to back it up with.
I would love it if it was Deadpool and he walks in, Wanda, great to see you. Who are you? Oh, Deadpool. Hey, love the decor in here. Very late, very early 80s with the, I expected a little trashier though. He just starts ripping on.
That'd be great. And I just got to remind people that even if they bring one of them back, it does not necessarily, count the other one out, because Fassbender's supposed to be the younger version of McKellen.
I just want to say, Kevin Feige, if you're listening out there, I work for Scale. So,
well, I will say this: WandaVision is directly connected to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Yes. So, seeing Benedict as Doctor Strange would also not be too surprising for me.
I did think of that one too. That's like on my low end. I don't know how.
That's hardly a Luke Skywalker reveal, because they're in the same universe, and we already know that she's going to be a big part of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Correct. So if that's the Luke Skywalker reveal, then I think we'll all be very disappointed. But no, Tom, I think that you're right. Again, this is just guessing. I think it's going to be Magneto, possibly with one or two others, just like hammering the point, but most likely Magneto, whether or not alone. And I have also heard the same thing that you heard, that they reached out to both McKellen and to Fassbender. What I have also heard, everyone that do not want potential spoilers, go away the next 30 seconds. Fassbender is the one that answered. I don't know if that's accurate. I really don't know if it's accurate, but that's actually, I haven't even heard that, but things I've seen, things that have been hinted at by Mikey Sutton, without him even saying it. would indicate that it's going to be Fassbender.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they get both.
Well, I would be, because Ian McKellen is of an age that is compromised for insurance.
I would also say that it doesn't. I disagree with you, Tom, that she's going to find. If she wants to rebuild her father or her family, she's going to go with the father figure that she remembers. And the father figure that she remembers died when she was a young girl. He's not going to be that old. He's going to be in his late 40s, early 50s. She's not going to want to bring back not even her grandfather, but her great-grandfather, because that's the age that Ian McKellen is at.
But to go off of what Script said, because somebody else has said that to me too, a couple people have actually, they filmed all this shit before the shutdown, though, as far as I know. So I don't think that would have been a problem then. But I could be wrong. And again, you're probably right, Andre. It probably will be Fassbender. But who knows?
And again, what I mean by the whole Doctor Strange connection is, Marvel is planning a bunch of alternate reality cameos in the Doctor Strange thing, including Tom Cruise as alternate reality Iron Man is really being talked about. So there are lots of things that could happen that Marvel's just keeping a lid on, but it would be a great way to launch into this new multiverse of madness by connecting it to something that's in the show.
And Darth Maul asks, what are the chances of Hugh Jackman cameo? I think that's pretty slim. But they're still above things like Deadpool and, a couple other characters. Like, for it to be that kind of a level, I would think they would save Hugh Jackman for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I guess we'll have to see. There's other possibility. One other small possibility could be Spider-Man. And it's setting up the whole, like, it could be something connected to, the multiverse going into Spider-Man 3 or something like that. But that's a big, like, probably not.
I mean, WandaVision is a prequel to Far From Home, so it's...
But that's like, but the thing is like, is it a prequel to Far From Home?
Yeah.
Far From Home? Really?
Yeah, it's happening only a few weeks after the snap was undone, and Far From Home takes place months after that. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because, it
is. Yeah, so chronologically, it would take place before then.
Yeah, so, I mean, well, if that's the case, then that's even less likely. So, yeah, because inside the MCU, the only level characters I can think of on that level are just basically Tony Stark or Captain America, because Samuel Jackson showed up a bunch of other places. I don't think Doctor Strange is big enough, but then again, Tom, you could be right, but I don't think she'd tote it like that. Unless she meant this. She could have meant this, but I can't believe she'd stop with Pietro. I think she'd go farther.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. And also, there's the Loki thing. It depends on how many things are going to tie into the Multiverse of Madness and this show. But it does make sense to start building those connections the way they did so brilliantly with the movies, is little cameos, little threads all feeding back. And they're not treating the TV show as anything other than it's just a movie that happens to be on the TV. So it's interesting.
And Aridium, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but yes, Spider-Man is at Sony, but now they've worked out their deal with Disney. It's a pretty cushy deal, it sounds like, between the two. It seems like we haven't got any of the details, but it seems to have extended quite widely. We do know
that here. So, and Tom, you have some very good speculation on why that is. So feel free to repeat that for those that might not have heard. Yeah, you.
Well, in our original reports, as we reported, the whole deal was for the three appearances, right? Initially. And
yeah, but I meant your recent theory.
Yeah. I gotta bring that up because at that time, the stipulation from Sony was they couldn't use the, we'll call them the original universe versions of Mary Jane, Flash Thompson, and so on. So they had those quote unquote 25% different versions that we got in the movie, and things that were a little bit closer to like Miles Morales' universe and things and characters in his universe and stuff like that. But now that they've renegotiated the deal and it's opened things up, I think that was part of the catalyst for this whole thing. Because if you rewind the tape, when Sam Raimi was announced, one thing I said to Andre was like, this makes no sense to just bring Sam Raimi in to do a Doctor Strange movie. I get it. He's a fan, But he's not just going to be involved for a Doctor Strange movie. That don't make no sense. I said, I guarantee you this has got something to do with Spider-Man. And I said to him, what if they're going to bring in like Tobey Maguire and all these characters and do a live action Spider-Verse? And then at that time, he hummed and hawed a little bit, but he's like, maybe. Well, then as we got along, this other news come out. So I'm thinking now, because of this deal they've gotten made, Kevin Feige was stuck in this shitty place where he couldn't use the original versions of the characters then, but now he can. So what's the only way you can really do that is to just basically bring them in from the old universe. And it also saves him the trouble with the X-Men too. I think it's a very similar situation. I think they kind of took one look at it and said, well, look, this first class cast is still young. Yeah, the last few movies didn't do that great, but they could probably pick and choose as many as they want and then just recast whoever else they don't.
Yeah.
That's actually a very, very good segue into the next point that I want to discuss for today. After we've done a few more super chats, is there anything else that we want to raise about WandaVision and Luke's Skywalker level cameo? I think everybody's pretty much convinced it's going to be Magneto. So unless they completely pull something out of left field, I don't think it is. Yeah.
Well, if we can hope it's like the one comic book where the house is ripped out of the ground and goes into space, and it's actually Magneto there that did it, then yeah, that would be one heck of a...
If they go into space, it could be one of the Guardians. Who knows? Or the Guardians. But I doubt they'll go to that extent. And yes, Simon Parkin, we've actually heard a lot of rumors revolving Charlie Cox coming back, so don't be surprised on that.
Yeah. That actually goes right into what I want to bring up after we've gone a couple of more super chats. So let's do that first. Tiberius Monk says, treat the fans respectfully and we will return the favor. While Mortal Kombat is my favorite video game film, the Sonic film is great all around. And John Apocalypse says, Daredevil Director's Cut makes the film way better. Indeed it does. Tiberius Monk says, Kingdom of Heaven Director's Cut is my favorite Director's Cut of all time, taking a mediocre film and making it a masterpiece. Silver Nova says, for 10 Australian dollars, thank you so much. Sonic proved once again that if you cater to the market, you make money. So many studios pour derision on their customer base. Why do the stockholders let this happen? As an investor, as someone, not as an investor per se, but as someone with a background in finance, I can answer that. But first, I want to hear what you all have to say. Mr. Konkle, why does the stockholders allow these production companies and marketing departments to deride the customers the way that they do?
Well, unfortunately, I think that on the day-to-day, and you probably will back this up, is the stockholders do not have a lot of direct input in the running of the day-to-day. On the creative side, there are literally hundreds of deals that are made, and they all are kind of their own little fiefdoms, their own little things. I'm sure the stockholders, when they have their meetings, can voice objection to what's happening. But remember, these companies are now held by technology companies, communication companies that are not really boots on the ground film companies. So they may not be paying attention as much as they should to what's going on. I found that there's been a creep in the last, 10 years or so, where I've noticed there's incredible engagement with fans, but a lot of it's negative, but it never seems to work its way up to corporate, to the stockholder level. It's always either they just change a head of some department, or there's some changes in the executive part of it, but you rarely see a stockholder mandate to change something on a creative level, or to even change the response or social media interactivity with fans, or the tone of it. And I think that's probably because of the way companies are now structured. I think they look at the bottom line. Is it making money? And a lot of the people that invest in these companies are not really following what the companies make.
Script, anything you have to add to that?
Well, from my perspective, it usually comes down to a bunch of spreadsheets. Like the stockholder, only really the biggest stockholders have any sort of influential say on a project, and only if it's one where they think their money is going to be, gone or missing if a decision's not made. But that's only the ones that really care enough to get involved, and I would say those are fewer far between, from my understanding, at least from what I've also heard. So yeah, it really just comes down to the corporate mentality. What do they think? What has sold in the past? How can they replicate that? And they will manipulate and do whatever they can to repeat that formula over and over to keep their jobs secure and rake in as much money and reputation as they can. To heck with the customers is sometimes a perspective of that when they're just looking at the bottom line. And that's the one fear that Hollywood has had, I guess I would say, since the mid to late 80s, is that they're so averse to making a low budget risk that could end up starting a new genre or a new trend, that they just would rather repeat the same safe stuff over and over again and give us something a little derivative as a result, because it's a safer bet, and it can drag out a person's career a lot longer than it would otherwise intended to be. And it also prevents them from having doing that extra work of like, hey, how do I come up with something new and fresh that an audience would like? It removes the risk to its lowest form, and that's kind of what they care about at this point.
Tom and Rob, anything to add to that before I give my perspective?
I think, pending your perspective, I think Tom and Script pretty much nailed it on the head. Everything I was going to probably say, outside of, we've kind of seen it in action with the whole Disney investor meetings they have online, and how kind of disconnected they are from the investors outside of, like Script said. I'm sure those who are very high up in the ladder as far as owning the most stock and stuff like that, like, unless you're one of those people, they just don't give a shit. And not only that, I guess the excuse from their end, and this maybe will segue to what you're going to say, Andre, and then Rob. Obviously, I want to hear what Rob says too. But it could just very well be that you got to look at it from the fact that you're investing in this company. So you're not only investing in the company, you're investing in the people that run it and the people that are there, and your investment is basically showing, your trust in them to take this into the future. And you don't want to, question somebody like that. Like, I mean, anybody who's ever been a leader or has ever had a team under them is, unless you see something that's a big red flag, you don't always want to try and, micromanage everything, because then it stifles everything down the line. And I'm sure that's the way that they kind of see the structure of this whole kind of thing. Rob is dead. Andre, go ahead.
Yeah, no, actually, you are all right. I can say, in general, when it comes to investments, because investors and shareholders, there's two types of them. One are the ones that have a tiny little portion, and if it's something that they are passionate about, they may pay attention to the detailed day-to-day business, but they have no influence and they have no say. And the millions of Disney shareholders, or not millions, but like countless Disney shareholders, are an example of this. Because you obviously have people that are Disney shareholders that don't like what happens there, but they are so tiny that they have no real say. They can go to like these shareholder meetings with Iger and stuff like that, and they can raise a question and they'll be completely sidelined in the answer and disregarded, because they're too small enough, or too small that they make any kind of difference. When it comes to the shareholders that are so big that they do make a difference, they don't know and they don't care, because that's not what they pay attention to at all. They don't get that much down into the details of how the business is run. The ones that they hold accountable is the CEO. The CEO answers to the board, and then how the CEO manages the company, that's kind of like up to him. The shareholders are not going to get involved with this and that detailed part of the company. That's not what shareholders do. The one that they have control over is the CEO for the most part. And if they don't like how the CEO runs the company, then they're going to replace that CEO. Now, if the CEO makes the company overall perform, but this little thing could have been much better or should have irked them or something, as long as the results are satisfactory, all in all, they're not going to do anything to replace the CEO, and then it's simply going to continue.
I think you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's how it usually is from an investor point of view. And with that, we're going to do a few more super chats before we segue into the Netflix topic here. Eric O'Sullivan sent us $15 to help keep our lights on, so thanks so much. And he says, top of the morning. In my opinion, the Abyss director's cut had the greatest impact on me. I saw it upon release, hated it, got the gold hard plastic case VHS for Christmas, and it's superior story-wise. Lands the ending. Skull. Yes, indeed. That's another really good director's cut. Lego Darth Jar Jar says for $5, I have faith in the Snyder cut, but everything else in DC I could care less about. And Curtis D of Montana also says $5 and says, Hail Midnight's Edge. Andre, have you seen the movie Mortal yet? I still want to know your take on it because it's about your country. You shall hear my take on it, I promise you, as soon as I've seen it. That hasn't happened yet. I just have too many other things to do that I have had the time to watch it yet. But I promise I'll get around to it, and I will let you know when I do. And sent us a diamond super sticker, so thanks for that. And your Muslim uncle says, sorry guys, can you plug that Dune best fan cut version ever again? Yeah, of course, happy to. The ultimate version of Dune is called Dune, Alternative Edition Redux by Spice Diver. It's a fan edit. It's out there on the high seas. That's really the only way to get it. So make sure that you don't get it unless you already own a legal copy of the movie. And since you'll be going to the high seas where there's loads of malware and horrible things, then make sure you use Surfshark for protection. So yeah, that's the definitive version of it. And Universal really needs to look at that and do a definitive version in 4K, because you can do better than what's out there in official releases right now. Much better. And Odds Board says, this new Joker may be different due to Flashpoint. Well, maybe, but actually it's this whole nightmare thing, and maybe there are some Flashpoint shenanigans involved with that. Will be interesting to see. Accidental Tourist sent us a $4 Canadian super sticker, so thanks for that. And Lego Darth Jar Jar sent us another $10, thank you so much, saying, I just hope Zack was smart enough to use reshoots to have the film come to a conclusion and not end on a cliffhanger. He knows the chances of getting another movie are slim to none. Let's hope he's aware of that. And Alpha J 3.0 says, quick heads up, the hashtag Fire Gina Carano is trending again. Jesus Christ, what is with those people? Okay, everyone needs to tweet, hashtag we support or we love Gina Carano. We have to make that trending then.
Yes, you should.
Yes, we have to do that. Like, if Fire Gina Carano is trending, we cannot let that go unanswered. So everyone should go right now and start tweeting, we love Gina Carano, or we love Cara Dune, or ideally both.
Yep.
They're coming for her, and we can't be on the sidelines for that, because she should be an example for the rest of the industry. And that's why they want to take her down.
Agreed. If you want diversity, that means people you don't necessarily line up with completely. You should allow for all of that. You cannot just say, I disagree, you shouldn't have a career.
And your Muslim uncle says, based on the speculation here on WandaVision, how amazing if the what if show, or how amazing is the what if show going to be? Predator versus Ahsoka, Wolverine versus Alien Hive. Disney actually could do those if they really wanted to. That's the amazing thing. But then, speaking of Disney, let's get into like the final topic of today. We mentioned a little bit already with the people being brought back from other universes and stuff like that. We mentioned already Daredevil, that he is most likely going to be back, the Charlie Cox version. And same with John Bernthal's Punisher. There's heavy rumors that he's going to be back. Same with Jessica Jones. And most recently, there are rumors that Mike Coltier might be back. You know who is rumored not to come back, though? Take one guess.
Oh, the guy who played Iron Fist.
Yes.
Oh,
Finn
that
Jones.
dude.
Yeah. Finn Jones, what I've heard, and this comes from Mikey Sutton, is that Tim Jones, no, not Tim Jones, well, Finn Jones, that's his name. He won't be invited back. He will instead be rebooted to someone more comic book appropriate, not just because he was no good in the role, but because the entire series completely dropped the ball. So, yeah, good going, showrunner Scott Buck.
Well, how long before we hear, like, an Asian guy should play Iron Fist because
he's not Asian, though.
Yeah, well, they don't care.
That didn't stop them the last time. People were outraged that Finn Jones was cast.
Because what, 30 years ago, it was a racist stereotype to portray Asians as knowing martial arts and being martial arts experts. Now you can have only Asians play martial arts experts. Yeah, way to lean into those stereotypes, guys. We're going backwards.
You can't win. You cannot win.
You know, I keep remembering that scene in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, where the master said, "We don't want you teaching anybody who's not Asian, especially blacks." And he says, "I teach who I want to teach. I teach anyone who walks through that door and they're willing to learn. I want to teach them. That's it. And you have no say over the matter."
Yeah, as it should be.
And he said, martial arts are a gateway for people to understand our culture, our history. Why do you want to deny someone that?
Yeah. Well, I was just reading about a production story where there was this outrage online because they had a guy and he was in a traditional garb, as a white guy, traditional garb. He was playing a very rare Japanese musical instrument, and it blew up, all this kind of stuff. And they're like, how did you have this guy and how insensitive and everything? Well, finally, the Japanese client who had the shoot, who had hired this actor, the producing people in Japan go, look, that instrument is so rare that there's probably 5 people in the world that can play it well. We're honored that somebody from another culture is interested. Are you saying that, no one should be interested in Japanese culture outside of our own? Are you saying that we shouldn't play piano because we didn't invent the piano? And I was like, that's a brilliant response. It's like, you can't have Lang Lang playing the piano because, hey, he didn't create the piano. How dare you play, a Western instrument? It's a stupid way of doing it.
I've played guitar for the last 30 odd years. I'm like, technically, I'm not allowed to play it, according to some of these Twitterati nincompoops, because the Spaniards invented the guitar.
Right. So of course, it's guitar for only Spaniards should be the hashtag.
Yeah, and as an Italian, you're just not Roman enough, are you?
No, right. I only have to learn. I only can play the mandolin. Even that I think is Spanish.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Yeah. It is a dumb way of looking at the world. It sure is.
I think you can play a trumpet, but not with any keys, like just a blow a horn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've wanted to rip a guitar out of people's hands for different reasons, just because they were massacring the instrument. Not because they're culturally, deemed unworthy by some or incentive.
Yeah,
that they shouldn't
dare
play.
Someone from another culture take an interest in our Japanese instruments. It's insane.
No pamphlets for anyone then.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
putting my burrito down now.
Music is like the one thing that's kind of universal. Like an A is an A anywhere you go. The same 440 cycles.
Yeah,
it's
a universal language. Music. I was just stunned where it was like, well, if he's one of the few guys in the world that can play it, and the Japanese want him to play it, what's the problem?
Well, the problem is the ideology of these people. So expect a new round of that now when, according to Mikey Sutton's Geekosity magazine, so you check out the article there, Iron Fist is due to be recast again. So yeah, here's a new round of complaints or demands that they have to cast someone Asian, as only Asians can do martial arts. But on that note, Scott Buck, he's the reason why they have to do this, because he completely and utterly botched Iron Fist. However, Rob, you know what else Scott Buck botched? That was probably much closer to you.
I remember you saying he botched the Inhumans.
He did. He botched the Inhumans. He did that big time.
Can he stop getting work in the industry? I mean, he
hasn't done anything since 2017, so I think he's okay.
He probably has what you call FU money. So, I mean.
Well, I'm curious how many in the industry picked up on the fact that this guy completely botched not just Inhumans, but Iron Fist. And the two of them are honestly the biggest failure to come out of Marvel the past decade.
Well, he also did Dexter, so that's 3 strikes, you're out kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I hope people are aware that he not only did he do Dexter, he was the one that crash-landed the ending. And only that, he had nothing to do with how good it was. I mean, Dexter, that's getting a revival now. And that's also to undo the damage that he did.
Mm-hmm. I keep thinking of Dexter's Lab when it says Dexter. I mean, I don't know. It's just me.
That is a more family appropriate show, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but you hear that, CBS? I mean, if someone F's up enough, you can make them persona non grata and usher them out the door. Hint, hint. Alex Kurtzman, hint, hint.
Well, I don't think Scott Buck owns a production company that was hired by the studio on a long-term deal. That's a great anchor to prevent yourself from getting completely fired from a job.
Honestly, it would be in his interest to apply for secret hideout. They'd probably hire him on the spot.
Maybe, yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna do a few more super chats before we have a very cool announcement for you guys. So first, or next rather, Christopher Tock says for $5, my sources tell me it's either Man-Ape or D-Man from Great Lakes Avengers. Luke Skywalker level indeed. Of course, referring to the WandaVision reveal. So yeah, there you have some more choices for the Deadpool. Is that the term? So yeah, place your bets, I guess. And Gabriel Quiroga says for $5, Hail ME. If Magneto is introduced into WandaVision, could that mean Marvel is trying a House of M storyline with Multiverse of Madness? It absolutely could. I'm guessing that they're copying that story, or that they're partially doing House of M with that other thing we keep on hearing about, some other story there.
Could very well be, yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And Fons Soto says they're going to push us Gina fans in a way that affects their sales if they keep it up. Yeah, to be fair though, it's not Disney that are making these hashtags trend. Of course, it could be people at Lucasfilm that we don't know, but yeah, I think that they need Gina Carano more than she needs them.
Just keep buying stuff with her face on it. They'll get the message.
Yeah, exactly. And Roll Titan says, at what point will we no longer be able to eat ethnic food because it will be racist? Aren't we already there partially? I've seen something to hint at that.
They better not take my Taco Bell away.
But they better not take my pizza grandiosa.
Cuisine, though, but
oh, and yeah. And taco is awesome. Certainly the Normex that we have in Norway, but yeah. And Stephen Otten says, joining late, hail to Midnight's Edge and everyone in the chat. So hail Stephen Otten and everyone in the chat. Can't stress that enough, how much we appreciate you being here. And your Muslim uncle just said, Tom, the lynch mob, gorillas in the mist, please.
Okay. I'll work on it.
And
I haven't learned it yet, so I can't just do it. It's a request from the other night. Yeah.
Well, and then we are caught up. So we are about to round out now, but first I wanted to thank you all for joining us today, and make sure to join us again on Friday, because on Friday we have a very special guest joining us here on Midnight's Edge in the morning.
Tom, Andre, I told you I'm not that special. You can get me anytime.
Yeah, indeed. We know we can get you anytime, and we are grateful. We are grateful for that. But this Friday we have someone else that we can't get at any time. In fact, this is someone that is making his appearance the first time since 2018, actually. As long-term fans will remember, we are big fans of the movie Hellraiser Judgment. Now, the Hellraiser direct-to-DVD sequels, they are something of a mixed bag. But Judgment is actually really, really underrated. If you haven't seen it, it's a very cool movie, and it'll be well worth your time to watch. I mean, Mr. Konkle script, I'm sure you've seen it and seen that it absolutely has merits that many of the other Hellraiser movies outside of the originals just don't have.
Mm-hmm. That's true. He really created both atmosphere and story and lavished a lot more attention on it. And he elevated that from some of the follow-ups that had been done because he respected the characters.
Indeed. And speaking of characters, one of the coolest things about Hellraiser Judgment was the new character introduced there, the Auditor. And we now have someone that's going to be here next Friday, don't we, Tom?
Yes. Hello to everybody at Midnight's Edge in the morning. I hope you are being COVID compliant. All those years worrying about a box, and all we needed was a little virus. But I do hope to see you all very soon on Midnight's Edge.
Yes, there you go. On Friday, the Auditor will make a triumphant in-costume return. The actual Auditor, Gary J. Tunnicliffe himself, as the Auditor on Friday. So everyone make sure to be back for that. And help spread the word, because that's going to be awesome. And if you haven't seen it, try to see the movie Hellraiser Judgment before that. It'll be well worth your time.
All right. And then fantastic. Tiberius Monk says, Andre Tom, Koala Tom.
Koala Tom.
That's me. Robin Script, stay awesome. Thank you so much, Tiberius Monk, for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We do indeed. And with that, I would again like to invite you to check back for Friday, because that's going to be awesome. And until then, Mr. Konkle, it was a pleasure to have you join us again. Of course, we already have it in the description, but tell us, where can people find you and which movie of yours should they check out?
Well, I have a couple out. There's one called Noise in the Middle, which came out around Halloween. Trouble is My Business, which is a film noir love letter to the genre. I have some new projects coming out. I just got back from filming in Atlanta 2 days ago. So I will let you know as soon as those come up. But please check out, you can see the film at troubleismy.biz. Also, you can take a look at my Twitter feed. I've put up some new things that my company Luminactus is putting up, and I'm getting prepared to do a new feature with Vernon Wells.
Very cool. And if you would go to Midnight's Edge Live Archives, there you will find the previous episode of Midnight's Edge in the Morning that actually featured Vernon Wells. So be sure to check that out. And Fon Soto sent us another super sticker, so thanks for that. And also, Script Doctor, thanks for joining us. Where can people find you?
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me today. You can find me on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD, and also on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScriptDoctor, where I'll be getting back to the swing of things in the coming days. So look forward to that.
All right, excellent. And of course, thank you so much to every single person that has been watching us today. We really appreciate that. Remember to check us out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. LA time. That's 6 p.m. Central European time and 5 p.m. UK time. Do make it part of your day, because you can't always rely on this platform to send you notifications. In fact, you can actually almost never rely on that, but that's another thing. So yeah, with that, thanks for joining us and have a great continued day.
I think everybody wants this.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koalas.